other. We need each other living. We need each other breathing. We need to uplift one another, to galvanize, to inspire and motivate. We need to make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, that our eyes are wide open and we can see the forest from the trees. Not smoke one another and take one another out, and damn sure not be quiet about it. But that's what a lot of people want. You want the Stephen A's of the world to shut the hell up. And I'm not talking about the white community. I'm not talking about the Hispanic community. I'm talking about my own community. Oh, don't say anything. Why we pointing that out? Why we're talking about it? Because we're dying. That's why. We're killing one another. That's why. You got black people scared to go in their own damn communities. I remember last year watching television, and we had black folks in Chicago calling for martial law, calling for the National Guard to come in just so they could go home safe at night. And we supposed to be quiet about that? We ain't supposed to say anything? We just supposed to look at race? We supposed to point the finger at white America like we ain't culpable? That's what we supposed to do? Nah. I'm not doing that. We're not helping each other by being quiet and averting ourselves from holding our own selves accountable. This isn't a political issue, veering towards the right or the left. This is about life and death.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny here today. And Stephen A's been saying what a lot of conservatives before me have been saying this a lot, but it seems like the black community don't want to hear it, right? And this is one of the reasons why I say I agree with Thomas Sowell's synopsis about how black culture sees their problems. They see it as, oh, it's everything external. It has nothing to do with me. Black people are perfect. We do no wrong. So therefore, if we do something wrong, it's because of external factors, right? Blaming poverty. Oh, it's poverty. That's why we commit higher rates of crime. Cap? No, it's not. You choose to make the crime, so you have to do the time. And look at some of the things that black people condone. All right, and this is why I want to take this stance about personal responsibility. Because when I do something, I know that I'm 50% responsible for what happens. And that's all I can control. I want to control my part of the pie. I can't control the external factor. So what's more empowering? If I tell you, hey, you can do something about your situation, look at what you did wrong, look at how you contributed to the problem, and then make actions to avoid it? Or someone saying that, no, you're just a helpless victim. You're passive in all this. Always because of racism. All right. And this is why I'm saying that the truth about black America is we use our race as an alibi. Right. We use it as excuse our failures in education, our failures in the participating in the economic sector. We use it for the crime statistics. Like, it seems like anytime someone points out our shortcomings, we go, racism. It's almost like a learned behavior. And this is what it is, in my view. I believe that liberals, progressives, this is why I find leftism annoying, is that they have taught black people learned helplessness, right? I'll probably put up here, though. This is CRT. This is CRT in the making. Oh, nothing's your fault. Culture and race are like this. Spending money is a black behavior. Saving money is a white behavior. Understanding cause and effect is white analytics, right? This is the kind of perception. This is the kind of belief systems that are taught and fed to our children. This is why minority students don't do well in public school, because they're more likely to be exposed to this nonsense in public school, because public school are trying to provide funding for this stuff. While in private school, if a parent find out you're doing this to their kid, they'll pull the kid out so fast that the bill won't even hit before you realize the kid's not in the class anymore. And this is why a lot of parents are pushing back, especially black parents. If you look at the stats for homeschooling parents, I believe black homeschoolers make up 16% of kids who go to homeschool, who are homeschooled. Why are the minorities leaving public school? No one want to answer that question. No one want to give an explanation for that. It's because the public school or our society or whatever this left-wing bias that we have here teaches our kids that they don't have any agency over themselves and their outcomes. And that's the wrong thing to put out there. Right, but I digress. Let's get into some crime statistics, because end of the day, crime causes more harm to African Americans, right? And the spike in crime is hurting a lot more people, and black people bear the heaviest burden. Why? That's a question that every black American should ask themselves. Why? Why is the case? It's because black on black crime is a bigger issue than police brutality. Black on black crime is a bigger issue than hate crimes, because they happen more often. I saw a stat somewhere, maybe I don't know if I can find it, But there was a stat out there that said that more black on black crime, like more black people kill other black people than black people ever been lynched by the KKK. So this is the kind of thing that the liberals or the leftists want us to turn our blind eye for, not to talk about. You're killing. Picture this: black people are killing each other more than that KKK ever did. Ain't that some coonish? If I try to point it out as a conservative, they call me a coon. But you tolerating this stuff, you tolerating your people getting killed by your own, bruh. You can't make this up. You can't, right? And there's a stat I want to point out. Here it is, right? The true size of the problem is made starker when you compare that African Americans make up only 14.2% of the total population, including multiracial. This is I don't believe you should. This is just personally me, but I don't think you should include multiracial people as part of the black community. This is why we always get 12%, 14%. But it's whatever. They're trying to make their point. But they make up 32% of all violent criminals, and they're 54% of homicide victims. Thus, this small percentage represent an enormous problem that for black people is getting worse, both in relative and absolute terms. And this is during the year 2011 to 2020. And we all know 2020, a large spike in crime, especially if you live in a blue state, in a Democratic state, you experience crime the worst. Look at New York. Look at San Francisco. The Asians can tell you about it. No one else want to talk about how black on white crime is 84% of interracial crime. Right? So if we're going to designate hate crime as, if a criminal of an opposite race attacks another person, we can designate that as a hate crime. Black people are 85% responsible for crimes like that. While white on black crime is only like 15% of the time of between interracial crimes. Crime is a problem in the black community. And to point that out, it does not make me a traitor to my race. It actually means I care about the race more. I care about I feel like I care about black people. And when Stephen A. Smith said it's not a left or right issue, it is. Because the right's been calling this out for a long time. Longer than I've been born. Right? You want to bet? Stephen A. You want to bet? This is an old article, bro. Right? Kids brought up in a single parent household, 5 times more likely to commit suicide, 9 times more likely to drop out of high school, 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substance, 14 times more likely to commit rape, 20 times more likely to end up in prison, and 32 times more likely to run away from home. Does that sound like a good recipe? And not race? Race was not mentioned not one time here. But guess what? What's the rate of single parent household in the black community? 72%. Behavior. Yo, personal responsibility. When black America is going to take ownership of the problems that they are accountable for? Because you always are accountable. It's never everything someone else's fault. And this is the problem I have with black America. You call it out. You say, hey, your HBCUs are not the best schools. I won't waste my kids' potential in your school. You get called Uncle Ruckus for that. But that's the truth, isn't it not? But, I digress. Personal responsibility is like kryptonite to black America, and that's the truth. And then they want prominent figures like Stephen A., Officer Tatum, Candace Owens, Larry Elder. They don't want us to talk about it. No, we're going to keep talking about it because it's a problem. Because end of the day, as a conservative, I care about the law-abiding citizens of America, regardless of your race. And if criminals are causing a big problem in your community, hey, we got to do something about the criminals. This is why we somewhat more pro-police. But conservatives are more, hey, arm yourselves. There's something I read that more guns, less crime. That they saw a correlation where there's high levels of gun ownership in a community, there's less crimes. Guess which race of people have less gun ownership compared to one of the rest of it? It's like Asians, Hispanics, but I think black people are like well below. So these criminals know, black criminals know, if I rob a black person, there's a big chance he's not armed. I bet you if black people were more armed in the black community, crime will go down. That's a way of helping yourself, black community. That's my solution to the problem. Until the legislator get their stuff together and start finding better solutions with the policing, and because then 5 minutes, that's the average wait time for a policeman to come in and save the day. Right. And then I want to end it off with this clip. from Thomas Sowell Explains, and I always leave the videos to where I get these sources from. Yeah, let's check it out. And you could see that there's a similar pattern in economics and education. It doesn't matter. Personal responsibility is the biggest contributor and the biggest factor to whether something succeeds or fails, because it's always you. You're the most common denominator in every situation, Black America. So if you're failing in economics, education, yo, look at yourself. This is why I said Black culture is a problem, because Black culture is incentivizing the Black youth to pick up patterns that makes them more likely to do all this stuff here. More likely to be a single mom, more likely to have unwed births, which contributes to these problems that I just listed out earlier. But hey, enough about me. Let's get into the clip, and then I'll wrap up my final thoughts at the end of it. Let's take a look.
Issues of our times are hard to understand without understanding the vision of the world that they are part of. Whether the particular issue is education, economics, or medical care, the preferred explanation tends to be an external explanation. That is, something outside the control of the individuals directly involved. Education is usually discussed in terms of the money spent on it, the teaching methods used, class sizes, or the way the whole system is organized. Students are discussed largely as passive recipients of good or bad education. But education is not something that can be given to anybody. It is something that students either acquire or fail to acquire. Personal responsibility may be ignored or downplayed in this non-judgmental age, but it remains a major factor nevertheless.
And I think this is one of the biggest problems in our culture, American culture in general, is that it's cool not to be non-judgmental. I feel like I'm the most judgmental person in America, honestly, because I judge myself very harshly. Like, if I do something wrong, I'm like, oh, I don't know, it's because of my background, like my immigrant culture background, like my mom, she placed a lot of responsibility on, a lot of ownership. If I felt like if I got a C in class, my mom's ain't gonna be like, and I told my mom, hey mom, I think my teacher's racist. She gave me a C and she gave everybody else a B. My mom ain't gonna tolerate that. She gonna be like, oh, you probably didn't do the work right. My mom was that kind of parent. Like, she'll believe the teacher before she believe me. The teacher could say, oh, Kenny was acting a fool. Kenny was burning down houses. My mom would believe the teacher. She wouldn't believe me. And I had to prove, like, nowadays it's like reverse. The parents are more likely to believe the kid than the teacher. Public school teachers, let me know. Yeah, I know y'all experience a lot of this. The parents are like not as bought into the education. They don't care. They're very passive. They're not very involved. And there's stats to prove that kids that have their parents involved in their academic career, they do better than kids that their parents are not academically involved. And that's a personal responsibility, Black America. 72% of y'all are raised by single moms. So your single mom, she's either working, she's doing other stuff. She won't even have the time to be checking up on you in your educational endeavors. And this is why a lot of kids raised by single mother cause large disruptions in class, displays bad behavior, because they know there's a limited capacity for accountability in those households. And that goes for any single parent household. I should know. I know this firsthand. If you're not a kid with his head on straight, it's easy for you to find like large gaps of time, so you can cause a bunch of trouble. And you want to get held accountable because you're like, oh, my mom at work. You can call her if you want. She can't answer, right? And this is how you incentivize bad behavior, essentially. And especially with some of these single moms that intentionally try to keep their father out of the lives of these kids. Oh yeah, it's a wrap. I knew I couldn't get away with stuff like that because my teachers had my dad's number and my mom's number, and I went to a Christian private school too, and it was like a small school where everyone knew each other. Everyone they knew the parents. It was you couldn't get away with that. And I think public schools should try to incorporate some of the systems that private school has. And this is why that's why I say public school is the worst option to put your kid, because they don't do any of this stuff. Public school is just as passive as the parents. Only the teachers are really actively trying to do something about it, but they don't get any support. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe it's external factors are contribute more to problems, or you're like me and you believe internal factors are the biggest drivers of results and outcomes in a community? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I would be interested to hear it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.